Brews and Banter.
Hi, Frank.
Hey, Roman, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm excited for another remote guest, and this one's going to be interesting. It's another book we're doing, and interesting story. And I'd like Deborah to introduce herself and give us a little bit about her background, and then we'll dive into the book as well.
Hi guys. Hi Frank. Hi
Hi.
Roman. Nice to see you. Nice to meet you over Zoom or a Riverside, if you will.
Yeah.
So hi, I'm Debora Masterson. I'm a writer, producer, musician, francophone. So I speak French, and a mother and a grandmother. And I started out as a dancer who sang, because my family was really musical. So, but I went into dance, and after when I was about 22, I guess I told myself, okay, I'm going to quit school. I'm going to try to become a professional. And, if you're going to dance, you got to do it early. You can't wait around. So I quit school and started dancing, but I realized I really loved singing also. So I went into musical theater so I could do both. So I had a real nice career dancing and singing, and then I got married and started teaching aerobics. That was kind of like the same thing in a way, it was leading people through movement and being able to use my voice to encourage them to stay in shape and all that. And it was the Jane Fonda craze at that point. So aerobics classes were really popular. So I started doing that while I raised a family. So I have 2 children, 2 sons. And that was great because I could stay in shape. I got free childcare at the clubs, the athletic clubs that I worked at. And, it was really fun. I had a great time. So, so that's a little bit about me. I started writing just about 6 years ago. So the writing of novels, if you will, or long form books is relatively new. So I guess I'm a late bloomer.
It's never too late.
Yeah. Roman was
There you
into
go.
Richard Simmons, right? I mean, that's what Roman would.
Richard Simmons.
Remember that
Oh,
guy?
yeah?
Richard? That's what Roman did.
All right.
The hair, the socks.
Yeah. So you could tell, obviously, right? He had the same haircut.
Yeah.
Shy.
Yeah.
Don't be shy.
So yeah, you have an interesting background. I mean, I know that there was at least a band, maybe a couple bands that you were in, and there's some stories I think you have about that as well. And
Yeah, I was in bands. All my brothers were in bands, mostly my middle brother. So I was around bands my whole life, and then when I met the love of my life, so the book that I wrote, the most recent one, Freedom Quest, a love story, is the story of the love of my life, Craig Ingram. So I changed all the names. His name is Michael in the book, and my name's Grace. But it's pretty much it is based on his life. He had a really unusual, unconventional, and very adventurous life as a musician. And so it's just one of these stories that I just felt compelled to write. So
So
started
it's
writing.
based on the true story.
Oh yeah, I'd say about 85% of it is true.
Okay. You just changed the names in
But
the
I
book.
changed all the names. Yeah. I'm really glad I did that because a lot of this, I mean, I met him when I was 15, and that's a long time ago. So a lot of the stuff that happened is so far in the past. I'm not even sure how it went down. And then some of it was also um it was secondhand stories from different musicians and friends and things like that. Uh, and then Craig also, he passed away in 2020. But before he died, he he had wanted to tell his story, and in fact, another writer, a friend of his, a high school friend who became a professional writer, also they had started writing his story together, but then he got busy on another project. So when that fell through, he started dictating stories to me. So, I mean, he could shred on guitar, but he couldn't type. So I typed up these stories, and so that was kind of the beginning of this book. And then after he passed away 3 days before the pandemic started, before the shutdown. It was not COVID related. He had been sick for about 4 years. But, after that, I was all by myself, and, I just started writing, and, and now I've realized I really like it. So now I'm writing another book, a second book, which is also a novel based on a true story. So,
That one
um
goes back to 1950,
Fantastic.
right?
What's that?
The second book goes back to 1950s?
Keeping Secret.
Keeping
Yeah,
Secret, yeah.
the title, Keeping Secrets, yeah.
Yeah.
And, yeah, unlike this book, Freedom Quest, the title changed probably 6 or 7 times.
Sure.
I did not know what the title was until very late, but this second book, I think this title is definitely gonna stick. Keeping Secrets, I think, is a perfect title for it. So, yeah.
So did you do a documentary before you got into writing or after?
Oh, the documentary happened in 2007. So let me go back a little bit. So I
Mhm.
met Craig Ingram, Michael, in the book, in 1965, and we went together for 7 years. So he was already 18. He had just graduated from high school. So that was kinda difficult, but we were madly in love, and he was a gentleman, and, but my parents were not happy with it. His parents weren't necessarily happy with the situation either. But what was interesting was I hadn't even started high school yet. I was just starting high school, didn't drive, couldn't even date. He was already out of high school, and back in the day, it was very common for musicians to get fake IDs so
Mhm.
they could play the bars and the clubs and all.
Mhm.
So he had bands, his own band since the age of 14. So he was already out on the road with a manager at 18,
Wow.
playing Reno and San Francisco. He was up in Summer of Love in San Francisco and Catalina Island and
Oh, yeah.
Las Vegas and even Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Mhm.
They drove all the way back to Fort Wayne, Indiana for a gig. But so I would get these phone calls from payphones basically because there were no cell phones, and in fact, in the little podunk motels where they were staying, there weren't even phones in the room. So we'd have to go down to the payphone at the front desk or whatever to call me. So, that's a lot of our relationship. But after I went away to school and then I came back. I was miserable. I went away to college for a year, miserable. So I came back home, moved in with him. And that's when the Freedom Quest Band, which is the name of the band, Freedom Quest, that's when the Freedom Quest Band was put together. And then we lost track of each other. So the Freedom Quest Band was very short lived. There was only 7 songs recorded which you can hear streaming. There's also other music of Craig Ingram's up on there. There's like 4 albums up there. Um, and the Freedom Quest band disbanded, fell apart because Brody and the band set Michael Craig Ingram up. Um, he was desperate for money because he wanted to finish the album so he could get a record deal. And the roadie set him up. So he goes, "Hey man, we can sell a couple of kilos and you can have all the money. We can turn it around really fast." And Craig said yes. And he set him up. So
Mm.
the minute the marijuana changed hands, the cops rushed in and he went to jail. And the band broke up. He lost the record deal. and I left him.
Mm.
So we didn't see each other again for almost 30 years, but
Oh,
then we got back
Wow.
together again.
After
okay.
30
So
years?
yes,
Wow.
26 years to be
Sure.
exact,
Wow.
26 years.
Close enough, right.
Yeah, so, again, this story was just too good. I had to write this, right? It's just like an amazing story. How did it happen? It was just like insane. Like the way I met him the first time, he was my brother's guitar teacher. And the way I find him again is I'm looking for a guitar teacher for my youngest son, my 15-year-old son, walked back into my life.
Mhm.
It's like, whoa. So we got back together again, and then it was at that point that I produced and he directed the documentary. So,
Can we go back to when you met him second time? You saw his name in the ad? Like, how did you come
oh,
across it?
okay, well, I was married and I was not around any musicians at that point. My husband he's retired now, television editor. And I grew up in LA, right? So, a lot of people in the entertainment business and movies and film. And but I didn't know any musicians at that point. And it was something I didn't realize how much I missed, but because my dad played piano, my mom sang, my brothers played, we all had live music in our house when I was growing up. And then I got married and I didn't have that. And so I didn't, I would my son wanted guitar lessons and I'm like, I don't know who to talk to. So a friend told me, "Oh, I know this musician and he's a teacher and you should call him, this guy Paul." Well, I didn't know him, but I called this guy Paul and I said, "I'm looking for a guitar teacher." And I've got a couple of names of people, and he goes, "Oh, wait a minute." He goes, "The only person I would recommend is Craig Ingram." I'm like, "Oh,"
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
because I thought he had moved to, well, he did move to Hawaii, and I had no idea where he was. And it turns out we were living 4 miles from each other for 10 years,
Mhm. Wow.
and we hadn't run into each other except once at the bank. 11 years before we got back together again, both were at the same bank, and I saw him. Well, he saw me first, and he jetted out of the bank because I was with my husband and the 2 kids.
Uh-huh.
He saw these kids run across the bank and pile into my lap, and then he looks to my left, and there's my husband, and he's like, "Oh, I gotta get
Nice.
out of here." So he left.
He was running away from the kids, not
Yeah, right. Yeah, he's like, "Oh, I can't," and and then I went outside to get something out of the car, and I saw him get into his car. So we passed each other, right? He saw me, I saw him, but neither of us knew that we had seen each other until we got back together again
Sure,
11 years later.
sure.
I see.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
we got
so
back together in 2000. And in 2007, we made the documentary. One of the first things he told me when I got back with him is he said he wanted to make a documentary about his friend Bill, who's the only combat photographer in our nation's history to receive the Medal of Honor. And he went
wow,
to our high
fantastic.
school.
Great.
And I told him, I said, "You're a musician. You're not a filmmaker. I really tried to dissuade him. It's so expensive and it's a crapshoot and forget it." And he said, he just insisted, "I really want to do this." And then I told him, I remember he would watch every Vietnam documentary. He was like an expert on Vietnam. And one day he was watching a documentary. He said, "No, no, come here, come here, come here. I want to show you this." Blah, blah, blah. And I said, "I don't want to think about war. I just want to think about peace." As a hippie. He's like, "You can't know peace unless you learn about war." And when he said that, I was like, "Oh man, that is so right on." And I went, "Okay, I'm going to help you." And that was the moment
Yeah.
when I said, "Okay,
Mhm.
I'll help you." And so we did it. I mean, I produced it all on my little own. I did everything. I mean, I did the contracts, I did the scheduling, and we flew to Washington, D.C. and interviewed the Marines who were saved by Bill's um, act. Bill Perkins, he jumped on a hand grenade and saved the guys around him in this horrible battle, which was really did not have to do that. I mean, nobody has to do that. And what was crazy was that he had only been with those guys for 3 days. You know, as a combat photographer, he would be assigned to different units, and he picked this unit because he knew they were going into battle, and he wanted to get some really good footage. And then this hand grenade came in, somebody yelled "grenade," and he crawled forward and covered himself over the grenade.
Mm-hmm.
Are
Crazy.
those 3
Wow.
days that he was with them, are those footages out? Have they been released?
The 3 days with the vets,
No, those 3 days that he was with those Marines before he jumped on the grenade.
the the 3
Those
days
3 those 3 days that he was with the Marines, did did he take footages? Have they been released?
yeah. Yeah, all the footage, yeah, we found all of the footage and his still photographs in the National Archives.
Mm,
So, most of the documentary is his footage, his film,
Okay.
16 millimeter and still photographs from Vietnam. He was only there 3 months, 3 months to the day
Hmm.
he died, 3 months in, yeah. So
that's
and
in
I think one of the reasons Craig Michael in the book wanted to make this documentary so badly was they got in a fight. They got in a fist fight over a girl just before he left for Vietnam. Well, just before he left for Camp Pendleton boot camp. And it just ate him up. Yeah, you know, Craig found out he had died, and he never got to say he was sorry, and he, you know, it was all he just it's just really and I saw him change so much after Bill's death. So they were really close. I mean, they got their scuba diving certifications together. They scuba dived all over Southern California. They, you know, they were just really tight. And and then he, you know, they got in this fight just be like I don't know days before he left for Camp Pendleton for boot camp. And I saw him go from like this short-haired, good Catholic boy who actually had gone into the minor seminary at the age of 14 to be a priest, to after Bill died, hair down to the middle of his back, writing protest music and angry,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
mhm. The fight over
So
a girl, you weren't the girl, right?
yeah, you know,
Yeah,
I know who it is, but I'm not going to say it.
that's okay.
So it's interesting that you guys met when you were 15, and then you re-met when your son was 15.
Yeah, I was 50 when I
Well,
reconnected with him.
but your son was 15, right? With the guitar,
Yes,
yeah,
right.
right,
Isn't that interesting?
yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
And so the music that's part of this book is that music from Craig or Michael, or where's that? Okay,
The music is all Craig Ingram. Yeah, he
okay.
wrote and recorded close to 200 songs. Uh, he's got this huge catalog. But like I said, there were only 7 songs from the Freedom Quest band, and then after that, um, he did in the '80s, he was recording at a studio in Northridge, California, which you may know the name Northridge from the Northridge earthquake in 1994, the big
Yeah.
earthquake that was out there you know, in a suburb of LA, Los Angeles. And so he did kind of his '80s work at the studio in Northridge, but then he got this VS1680 workstation and Kurzweil PC88 keyboard with all of the strings and, you know, all of the sound effects and everything. And he started just recording everything on his own. He could play bass, he could play drums, he could play piano. His primary instrument was guitar, and he had a 3-octave voice, so it's just he was really, really a talented musician, and, so after that, I mean, it was just a lot easier to record in his home studio and do it all himself, less expensive, didn't have to worry about other musicians, and, um, he could just, he would just spend hours and hours, and when I got back together with him, I was wondering if that would change um, his inspiration or desires to, keep making music. He was 53 at the time when I got back with him, I was 50. But he continued all the way until he couldn't do it anymore. So there's a lot of music after that. We formed a band again. It was a trio. It was me, Craig Ingram, and Bill Richardson, who was both of us were members of the original Freedom Quest band. So Bill Richardson was also in the band. And so it was a trio with Craig on guitar and then 3 voices. So we did some really tight 3-part harmony, but it was all Craig's music. It was all his original songs that we did. So he kept writing all the way till the end. One of his last songs was, called "Grateful," and the only thing I have is a guitar and voice, demo of that song. But I thought that was interesting that that was his last song.
Can we find
Kind of
can we find Freedom Quest band music online? Can we listen
Yeah,
to it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. In fact, if you go to my website, DeboraMasterson.com, there's a Spotify link. There's a link to Spotify,
I s-
but you can find it everywhere.
okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw the link. I wasn't sure if it was just to that band or was it stuff just for the book.
Yeah, it's the band music. So, the book itself is Craig Ingram's life,
Hmm.
and, of course, the love interest is me, right? So, I'm in there too, but it's really his life, and, I I named it Freedom Quest because, first of all, I think the title, um, really says a lot about the book. The quest part kind of infers this, epic story, the story, it spans over 50 years, and it was he chose that title for the band, and, freedom during that period of time, that era, that hippie era, the late '60s, '70s era was, was really kind of in the forefront of our thinking there. And I had to spend quite a bit of time trying because I never asked him why he called it Freedom Quest. I never asked him. He came up with that name. But I realized, kind of like asking why, why was it called that? And kind of looking back on that time. And several things happened then that I think were really contributed to this feeling that we had of this we wanted to be free. Number 1, women got birth control for the first time. So it was about 1967 when women got birth control, and all of a sudden, women had this freedom that they didn't have before. They could potentially have sex without getting pregnant. 98% efficient, for not getting pregnant. So there was a freedom there, in that women's movement that happened. There were earlier women's movements about voting and all of that. This was, in the '60s, a new women's movement. And then psychedelics. So, psychedelics had been discovered in 1953, but they stayed within the confines of the laboratory and were being used very efficiently for depression and alcoholism and things like that. But it got loose and it
Mhm.
got out into the mainstream. And I think that also contributed to this idea of, that we started questioning all of the rules about society. And the 50s were pretty boxy, everybody was like kind of confined. You had to conform in the 50s. So, um, yeah,
This psychedelic seems to be coming back now. Like there's places you can go and under supervision take
yeah.
psychedelics, where, like you said before, that and I think drug companies probably didn't want that to be available because then they would lose. It's all about money, right?
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. I just recently read this book by Michael Pollan or Pollan, Pollan. He's a well-known writer. It's the first book I've read of his, but it's called, uh, I think How to Change Your Mind. Anyway, it's the history of psychedelics, and he brings it up to the present time, and yeah, they're starting to now, uh, they're starting to open it up again and start to, use it for treatments. And I think it needs to stay within the confines of a controlled situation because it's powerful stuff. You
Yeah,
know.
I've heard it's also being used for people who are suffering with PTSD.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and extremely effective
Hmm.
for alcoholism. And what they're finding, well, at least from this book, Michael Pollan, the book that I read, that you only need one experience. I mean,
Yeah, that's pretty
one.
efficient. Yeah, that's pretty efficient.
Yeah.
Right.
And it
Interesting.
can really, change your life. So, and, yeah. So, I'm excited that it's starting to come back as a potential treatment. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, that's definitely good. And if it's helping people, absolutely. I think it's very important.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. If it's helping people. Yeah. Yeah.
Now there's
But I
these.
don't think it's a recreational drug. It's
Right.
not.
Sure.
It's not a recreational drug. I don't need to take it more than once or twice or whatever. I mean, it's like, you know, it got too crazy. You know.
This grateful track you have, the last one that Michael made. Is there anything you can do with that to complete it?
Um, Maybe, I have a vision that maybe, I could maybe finally put out, the album Freedom Quest. It never came out. I mean, it's streaming online, but there was
Okay.
never an album. I'd like to do a vinyl album of the Freedom Quest tracks. And what's really interesting is, so I've held on after Craig passed away, I held on to all of his, reel-to-reel tapes. So I've got 2-inch tapes and 1-inch tapes and quarter-inch tapes, and it's crazy because, let me show you something.
Sure. This history piece is great.
So
Just like
I
the
still
legacy.
so, the very famous Sound City Studios. I don't know if you've ever
I've heard of it.
Sound City Studios. Dave Grohl from the Foo
Yep.
Fighters did a documentary
Oh,
about Sound
yeah,
City
yeah.
Studios. Well, that wasn't too far away from where we lived. It was literally 5 minutes away, and we recorded there. Anyway, they've been helping me, uh, digitize these reel-to-reel
Ah,
tapes, which is, extremely expensive, and they've been helping me do that. But these, they don't have, a quarter-inch machine.
okay.
And I've got these, look at this, 1965. I don't know if you can see
Yep.
that.
Yeah, we can
Hmm.
see it front room.
Yes.
Yep.
1965 front room. I wanna hear this so bad, but it's so expensive, I
That's an
don't
A
have the
track?
money.
No.
Is that an A track?
No.
No, this was, look at this, set
These are real.
1973, Freedom Quest,
Those things you used to
reel-to-reel, quarter-inch.
those are the things you used to see on the old time movies.
Oh, so this is video? This is
No, this is audio only.
audio. Yeah, that's
But you hear the noise.
Audio
Yeah.
only.
I
1973 Freedom Quest and other stuff.
I'm
Oh, you may not want to see
Remember,
the other stuff.
uh,
audio.
there's
Oh, hear it then.
there's one of these that it's just on the box it says, I don't have it right here, but on the box it says for Debbie.
Ooh.
No idea what's on it.
And so there's no way to be able to get this. I mean, so that studio may not have it, but
I mean, they don't. That's so free. Sound City has been helping me digitize them, but they don't have a 1/4-inch machine. Now, here's the other thing: the tape is really old, so you got to be super careful when you're digitizing it. I was in the studio with the engineer at Sound City, and some of them you have to bake. You have to bake them. You literally have to put them in a microwave and warm them up a little bit so the tape, because it gets brittle, so the tape won't explode
Crack.
and just fall apart, right? So they're like really good at that and they know how to do it. But you know, I mean, some people have said, "Well, just get a reel-to-reel tape deck, and just do it yourself." But I'm like, I'm really afraid to do that. So that's one of the things I'm hoping to do is digitize the rest of the material that I have. It's hard because I don't know what's on it.
right.
It could be crap. It's like, do I spend hundreds of dollars to digitize it when it turns out it's not good? It's like nothing, right?
Right.
So there's that, and then I would like to maybe do a vinyl, album or two of his music. That would be really. It's vinyl so popular right now.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
So, yeah,
That's
yeah.
great. But yeah, I mean, really, a couple $100, whatever it's going to be, even if it's crap to someone, it's not going to be crap to you, no matter what it is you hear.
No,
Right?
you're right. I know,
Yeah,
not for me. Yeah, I
yeah,
know.
yeah.
It's like I will listen to everything,
Sure.
but
And I'm
yeah.
sure. You talk about baking. I'm sure there's a little baking when it was being made, also, right? Like,
Anyway, so that's one of the things I like to do. But honestly, it's like making any money. I mean, nobody makes money on writing a book and publishing a book except for maybe the New York Times bestseller people. I didn't know that going into it, but it's like, you know, uh,
So, do you hold the rights to all his music?
yes,
Okay.
Mhm.
yes. So yeah, he was a extremely talented man. Also the documentary, he directed it. It was his vision. I produced it. I just helped him create his vision, and he did a fantastic job. Where are you guys? Where are you located?
Syracuse, New York.
Syracuse.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Because we're having a screening this Saturday of the documentary in Chicago. I live in Chicago now.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we saw
Yeah,
that.
I moved here 3 years ago from LA. So born and raised in LA, but moved here after Craig passed away. I have a son in LA and a son in Chicago, and I kept coming back to Chicago, fell in love with Chicago, and
Mhm.
and it's nice because it's got public transportation. I can get around without having to drive everywhere. I
Mhm.
got so tired of driving in LA,
Yeah.
so,
It's
but,
uh
yeah.
I call
So
Great Lakes as the only ocean with no sharks.
it's what?
I call the Great Lakes the only ocean with no sharks.
Yeah. Yeah, the third coast, right? That's what they
Yeah.
call,
Yeah.
Chicago, the third coast, yeah. No, it was funny, when I moved here, I was, living in the valley, the San Fernando Valley. I'm a valley girl, and there was no traffic. I mean, it was 20 minutes to Santa Monica. No problem, just drive, boom, get to the beach, easy. But it got to the point where, it could be 2 hours getting home, and I just quit going to the water. And then I moved here, and, really didn't think much about the lake, I was like moving here, I didn't anyway, I ended up close enough to walk to the lake now, and I had no idea. I mean, it looks like the ocean.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's got waves, it's got seagulls, it's got sand, The only thing that gives it away that it's fresh water is the ducks and the geese on the water,
Right. Right. Right.
and no sharks,
And no
you know,
salt.
no
Yeah.
jellyfish,
Yeah.
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 So, yeah, I couldn't be happier. I love it here. So
Good.
Nice.
Good.
So
I was in Rochester, New York,
Okay.
presenting the film, the documentary. There's a new veterans center that they just renovated at the Rochester, New York airport.
okay.
And so last year, I think it was May, of last year, uh, I was invited because the name of the new veteran center at the airport is the Corporal William T. Perkins Jr.,
Okay.
which is the story of the documentary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, it was amazing. So I got to go and, present the film, do a little speech and all that, and, they even have, a short, I think it's 5 or 10-minute excerpt of the film, on a loop in the exhibit. So that's really, really
Great.
special.
Great.
So if
Yeah.
you ever
Yep.
make it to the Rochester airport, you gotta definitely go to
Yeah.
the Veterans Center
Yeah.
and check it out. It's really beautiful.
Rochester's not far from us. Hour and a half, right? Hour and 15 minutes.
Not even.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish I could go again. I flew in. I was only there like 2 days, and, it was really, oh my god, it was so crazy. So, I stayed at a hotel next to the airport, and the day that I was leaving, I'm like, "Oh," I looked at my clock, I got enough time, I'll just walk back over to the Veterans Center before I go to the gate." And I'm walking down the hallway, and I see the sign, the Veterans Center, Corporal William T. Perkins Center. And all of a sudden, I hear Craig Ingram's voice echoing through the air, and I'm like, "Whoa," that was so surreal. It just so happened that the 10-minute loop, he was interviewed, in the documentary as a friend of Corporal Perkins, right? And it was his voice that I was hearing from the loop, and I was like, "Oh my
Yeah.
gosh."
Yeah.
It
That's
was
surreal.
so
Yeah.
surreal.
Without
Yeah.
psychedelics, even. Eh?
Thought I was on psychedelics at that point, I know, yeah. It was really, really amazing. Anyway, it's a beautiful, veteran center. Beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. Just opened last year.
We'll get out there.
Sometimes I fly out of there just because tickets are a little cheaper out of Rochester.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll keep
Okay.
that in mind to stop by and check.
Please do, yeah, that would be great. I would highly recommend checking it out. You'll love it, yeah.
For sure.
They have a life-size statue of Corporal Perkins,
Oh,
and
okay.
then they have a little TV screen, and then they have the loop of the documentary, yeah.
I'll remember to take a photo and share it.
Okay, cool,
Yeah.
and there's a QR code. There's supposed to be a QR code where you can go to the website,
Mhm.
the Bill Perkins film website. So make sure it works for me, would you?
I will. I will.
I sent it to them, and I never got a chance to test
Yeah.
it out. So, but they told me it was working. So, yeah.
So Deborah, at what point did you decide to write the book? I mean, the story is great. You've lived this life. You've had this experience, this love story. What sparked the idea to go? Like,
Yeah.
what was the point where you're like,
Yeah.
this is the story I want to
Yeah,
write about?
when did you commit? Right.
Yeah.
When did I commit? Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. That's a good. Yeah. I can tell you exactly the moment. So Craig and I got back together again. We would tell our story often to people, and sometimes it would be total strangers that we happened to see at Starbucks or something like that. And yeah, we got back together. We hadn't seen each other in 26 years, and the response from people was just like, "Oh man, that's just so beautiful. Oh, it gives me hope," and that kind of thing. And then I would hear often, "You should write a book. You should write a book." And then, I remember I was talking to a friend of mine. I remember it was my friend Linda, and we were with 2 other ladies, and we were at a screening. Uh, and it was a film that we went to, and we were afterwards, we were standing outside in this little patio with, our glasses of wine and cheese, and, I happened to tell the story again, and they were like, "You really should write this." And I think part of it was the fact that I was at the Directors Guild of America Theater on Hollywood Boulevard with some professionals, people, in the industry, and they all the people who were standing there were like, you have to write this. And that was the moment I said, okay, I'm going to do it. And the next morning I got up and started writing.
Mhm.
And when I first started writing, I was writing 6 hours a day. So I was writing 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours after lunch, and 2 hours at night before I went to bed. It was pretty intense, and it was COVID,
Right.
so there was nothing else to do, and so that was what I ended up doing. So that's how it started. But you truly, if anybody had said I would write a book, I believe them.
Mhm.
I mean, I never really thought about writing a book, but in looking back at my life, it's not that surprising in a way. It's not out of the question because, like, I love to read. I worked at libraries when I was going to college. Um, I have a master's in French literature. I love to read French novels. So yeah, I'm kind of a literary nerd in a way, right? So it's not out of the question. But I honestly think part of it was authors on a pedestal. I mean, I love to read so much that that was like beyond my capabilities. I never even thought I could do that, you know? So
Mhm.
I mean, I grew up in the 50s, I was primed to get a husband and raise kids. That's,
Right.
I was put into dance classes so that I would be graceful enough to get a husband.
Right.
That's where it was back
Yeah,
then.
yeah, that was the culture, right.
Well, with the
So,
writing, it seems like you surprised yourself.
mhm. Yeah, and now I
Yeah.
love it. I'm like, "Oh, I don't know." I enjoy the process of writing. So, I
So
I
Freedom
found out.
Quest is your first book or latest?
Yeah,
First
yeah,
book,
Yeah.
first book,
and you're working on the
first
second.
long form. Before that, I had written some letters to the editor, and I was surprisingly would get published. Uh, like, I 3 letters I wrote to I didn't write letters to the editor all the time, but when I did, a lot of times they would get published in the magazine, like the
Mhm.
next week or the next months, all of a sudden there was my letter. I was like, "Oh, wow." And then I wrote lots of papers, when I was going to school. Like, I had to write 20 pages. I would have to do, like, a 20-page paper in French to graduate, at the end of
Right.
each class that I took during my master's. So for 2 years, I was writing in French. So yeah, I mean, but that was pretty much the extent of it. I'd written a little bit of poetry. Oh, and I kept a journal. I've always kept a journal. I think maybe I'm gonna burn them before I die, though. I don't know. But the problem with journals, and if anybody reads journals by their family members, you got to remember you mostly write about the bad parts. You write when you're depressed. You write when you're sad. You write when you're lonely. You don't write when you're
Yeah,
happy.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know
It's
what I
not
mean?
such a
You
miserable
write
life when you're in it. Yeah.
all the really, so, I reread my journals now and I'm like, "Oh my goodness, people are gonna think my life has just been, one tragedy after another."
Well, it's like reviews. People write reviews when they're
Right.
upset instead of,
Yeah.
writing something positive. Like nobody goes out of the way to say something nice about somebody, but when they're
Yeah,
upset, they're like,
right.
"Oh, I can't wait to
Right,
give,"
right.
Yeah. It's like the doctors, the doctors never hear from you if you're well. They only hear
Yeah.
from you when you're sick,
Yeah.
I feel bad for doctors that way, it's like they probably would like to know how you're doing,
Oh.
It's like,
How do you
well,
think a
no news
mortician
is good news.
how do you think a mortician feels? They only see you when you're dead, right? Like, you're gone, like, you're done. Like, that's it.
Well, no news is good news.
Right. Shit happens, right?
So, have your kids read the book?
Children?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Mhm.
No. So I gave them each a copy.
Mhm.
And the dedication at the beginning of the book is to my children and grandchildren who make this life worthwhile.
Mm.
which is true.
Yeah.
And, heard yet.
Yeah. Well, it's new, right? It's only been out a month now?
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's been out a month. And then the other thing is, my former husband, um, we're on good terms. He's in a really good place. Things are good. He's remarried happily. And, I let him know that the divorce is in there. I said, but it's a novel based on a true story, so you can deny everything
Mhm.
if you want. And I actually did dramatize some of it. I pushed it a little bit. I made it a little bit worse than it was. And so I don't know. I feel like I'd like to, I don't know. It's like I hope that they're okay with it. But there was no way to tell the story without telling, without talking about the divorce,
Right. Yeah,
right? There
the
was
whole
just
yeah.
no way to do it.
Part of the
Right.
So
story
it
is the
had to
whole
be in there.
story. Yeah.
Yeah, it had to
Right.
be in there. And but I think everything's fine.
Mhm.
I hope
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
there's no hard feelings. But like I said, about 85% of it is true. I did move some of the things out of chronological order
Mhm.
for dramatic effect. I did combine some characters. There were some people that, there were just too many characters, so I kind of combined them into one character. It's funny, recently I tried to reach out to all the Freedom Quest band members. Some of them I've stayed in touch with, but not all of them. And I was looking for the drummer, Elvio Dida, and I couldn't find him, but I did. I had one lead. I saw that he had been playing music at a Presbyterian church in Palm Desert, out by Palm Springs in California. So I called the church and I said, I'm looking for Elvio Dida. And the woman answered. She said, oh, he kind of disappeared. We don't know where he's gone. And she said, but there's a musician. I'll mention it to him and maybe he can help you. Well, he ended up giving me a phone number for Elvio. So I texted him and called and sent him the book cover and said, hey, you're in a book and, I'd love to talk to you. Had not spoken to him since 1973, and he finally called me,
Oh.
and it was amazing. We spent over 2 hours on the phone, and I really didn't talk to him that much. I mean, Craig and the rhythm section were over here, and I was a background singer and the girlfriend, and so I really didn't know him that well. He and the bass player and the keyboard player actually were driving to San Diego from LA to rehearse at our house
Mm.
in San Diego. We were living in San Diego at the time. So I didn't really, know him that well. And one of the things he said, he goes, well, because I was really strict and I grew up in a very strict family. And he goes, Craig Ingram, he was just too crazy. This is what he's telling me right on the phone just recently. Too crazy for me, boy. I couldn't handle it. He was just rubbed me the wrong way. And so then we started talking more about the book. And I said, well, I changed all the names. He goes, you did? Right. And I said, well, novel based on a true story. I'm glad I did. Well, what's my name? Oh, no. I said, "Neon." He's
Neon?
like, "What? Neon?" There's so I said, "I call you Neon because you have pink hair."
Mm.
And he was like, "Oh, no." 'Cause, drummers are usually the craziest ones in the band.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know if you know that or not,
yeah,
but,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
drummers are usually they're usually very hyper. They're very
Mhm.
hyper people, generally. And, yeah, it was really funny. He's like, "What?" I said, "I don't know, it just happened. I was writing about the band, and I'm like and Neon, the drummer, because he had pink hair, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, no." So,
Did he
anyway,
get a
I think
copy of the book?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what a great drummer named
Oh, and then the
LVO.
keyboard player, I have to mention the keyboard player is David Benoit, who's had a very good recording career. He's a jazz pianist, jazz piano player, and he also has a show on K-Jazz in LA. So David Benoit was a keyboard player. It was one of his first jobs. He was only 17 years old. And and there's also a video on YouTube of the band playing at an outdoor concert. Highly recommended. It looks like Woodstock. It is crazy. You gotta see it.
So that's interesting because Woodstock is only like 35 minutes from us, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You guys go?
No, I have not been. No.
Well, we weren't. I mean, I don't know what you think with this youthful existence here. Yeah, I was not around at the original one, but the second one that was just a complete shit show. I didn't go to that one either. That was
you can't like redo something like that. I don't think it was once in a lifetime thing. We actually considered driving across country to go to it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I was not that interested in. I mean, that's a long trip, all the way across country.
Yeah.
But So there's a video. You'll have to see
I'll have to check the video out for sure.
Yeah,
you just Google Freedom Quest and you'll find it on YouTube.
I want to check out Neon.
What's that?
I want to check out Neon.
Neon, yeah. Yeah, he doesn't have pink hair. I made that up. That was part of the fiction part. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but he's a great drummer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, that was nice. Nice reconnection with all the band members.
Yeah. There's still a few I'm looking for still. Maxine Sherman. Maxine, if you're out there, I would love to talk to you. She played flute in the band. It was a 9-piece band. It was flute, violin,
wow,
and percussion, and the rhythm section, and 3 background singers. So it was a huge band.
Yeah, that's a lot of personalities to manage.
It was a great band, man. It was very sad that it broke up the way it did, It was really, really sad.
But it's got the history now in the book, and I think it's important for people who are interested in that to read it and connect with it. Maybe there's something they can relay to the story that they're dealing with in real life now, today. And if people wanted to buy the book, Debora, what platforms?
All of them, Amazon. There's a Barnes and Noble. You can buy it online. Bookshop.org is a really nice one because you can give credit to your local independent bookstore if you go on bookshop.org, and then it'll ask you what bookstore you want to give credit to, and you to order it online there. And then on my website too, there's links to all of that and more information than you'd ever want to know about me and the book and
your website will be in the description of this episode for sure.
Okay, yeah. And it's spelled Debora. Everybody spells my first name wrong. There's no H on it, so it's Debora. Masterson, yeah. So, and then Craig Ingram, everybody's like, Ingraham wrong. It's the English spelling, Ingraham. If you want to search for his music and
so it's spelled Ingraham, but it's pronounced Ingram.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll include all this information in the description as well. Yeah. To make it easier for people to just either click on a link or to at least refer to that information when they're searching.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, that sounds great.
Absolutely.
I was in Highland, New York one time. Is that near you guys?
I don't know where that is.
I don't know where that is either.
We're like central New York.
Central. Yeah. Highland. Yeah. My husband, the television editor, his sister lived up there, and I remember we went upstate New York and hung out at their house a couple of times. It was real nice.
Yeah, so Highland, New York, Roman is located on the west bank of the Hudson River.
Okay.
So it's probably down next to Derrick and.
Yeah, so probably over an hour and 2 hours away or so.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, you're further north, right?
Oh yeah. We're 2 hours from Canada, and maybe an hour and a half. Yeah,
cool. Yeah. I love being in the Midwest right now. I'm anxious to explore more. Like go up northern Michigan. I want to do like the tour of Lake Michigan, and I've been to Quebec and Montreal. Quebec City, Montreal for the French. Because I had to go hang out over there. But I haven't been to Toronto, and I'd really like to explore more.
Yeah, Toronto's close to us. It's interesting. Michigan, everybody refers to it like the hand, because Michigan looks like a hand, so they tell you where you're from. Like, because I lived in Detroit, outside of Detroit for 3 or 4 years, but they always, because you point to where you are
on the hand.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Like, because Traverse City is where everybody wants to go. It's really nice, but that's really far north.
Yeah, I really want to check it out.
Yeah.
In fact, what I'm trying to do is like get some bookstores to invite me, to do book signings, and I'll just like do a car trip.
Yep.
And start up through Wisconsin, maybe Madison, and then just keep going, and then go around and hit the Upper Peninsula, and it'll be a book signing tour and just a nice tour for me, have never seen that area.
Yeah, because I think Michigan Ave it's a straight shot.
What's that?
Michigan Ave, I think, goes right to Chicago, and Michigan. I think it's a straight road.
Michigan Ave.
What is that?
The street, the road. There's a street. I think it goes from Michigan to Chicago. Or
seriously?
I thought so. I mean, it was. You had your thing going on in the 70s. I had my thing going on in the 90s. So it's a little hazy. So I'm not exactly sure, but.
Oh, there's a funny story in the book where, like I mentioned, they were 18 and they got a job in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and they decided to save money. The band, it was 3 guys, a trio. They were called the Avantes at that point. So it was Craig, Mike, and Steve. Steve was a drummer, Mike was a bass player, Craig guitar, and they all 3 sang. And they decided to drive Route 66 from LA to Fort Wayne, Indiana. But not only the 3 guys, but 2 background singer dancers in the car. And he was driving a Pontiac Le Mans sports car.
Yeah,
I'm serious. This is true. Say the drummer Steve and one of the singer dancers were an item by the time they got to Fort Wayne.
Yeah, a lot could happen in that trip, I imagine.
That's one of the funny stories in the book. For the Cat's Meow Supper Club in Fort Wayne, Indiana. The Cat's Meow Supper Club.
That sounds like a different kind of club.
And you can actually I did some research on it. God, I just heard. I think there's fireworks going on. Hopefully, it's fireworks outside. Anyway,
we can hear them. We can hear them.
You can actually find for the Cat's Meow Supper Club, because it had a fire. So there was an article I found in the newspaper about the Cat's Meow Supper Club, because it had gone up in flames.
Mm-hmm.
How long ago were you in Quebec?
How long ago? What?
You were in Quebec.
I was in Quebec in 2018.
Did you go to that? It's like a castle hotel. I don't know. It's
in Quebec
beautiful.
City.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We were there a couple years ago, and we did like a tea party or whatever. You have a tea there, and then they bring you desserts, It's a really interesting experience.
It is beautiful. Yeah, and it's got that big wall embankment. It's like double layers. You're up really high looking out, and then down below. It's just really, really beautiful city.
It feels like you're in some European country on the hill of the mountain somewhere.
Yeah.
Because you walk down this very steep street from that hotel.
Yeah.
And there's all these shops and there's really narrow streets.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely felt European. Definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
Very beautiful.
I love Quebec City. I would go back there in a flash. And then we took this little train. It was a tourist train from Quebec City and went further north to this town called Charlevoix. Charlevoix. And they actually had just had like a G7 summit there, and of all places, right?
Right.
And Charlevoix, yeah. And so we took this train, and we went there in October, so all the leaves were changing color, and that was a really fun trip. We went up to Charlevoix. There was we saw this huge waterfall up there and everything. It was really, really beautiful. Yeah.
So, do you think you're gonna do audio version of your book?
Yes, I am working on it. You can see right here my little audio booth.
Okay. Yeah.
So your publisher wants you to read it?
Yeah. I am working on it. I like to read out loud. I actually, for a while, this is before the internet, before audio was so prevalent. I used when I was in college, I used to read to blind people. I used to go over to their houses and read novels to them, read books to them.
Nice.
So I'm like, when they said, you should read it, a lot of people have said, oh, it's people love it when the author reads it. So what I did was I started slow and I did some samples and I sent them off to some people that I know, sound engineer, voiceover guy who had done some audiobooks already, and sent them some samples and said, what do you think? And I got myself a good microphone and did some research on it, did some studying and all that, and I got some decent response back. Hey, it sounds pretty good, and gave me some pointers and tips and stuff like that. So then what I did is I decided, well, the more I work on the book, reading it out loud, the better I'm going to get, right? It's like anything,
Right.
practice makes perfect. So I will start from the end, read it to the front. So I started at the the end chapter, and I'm slowly going forward because I figured by the time you got to catch them at the beginning, right? You got to get them.
You'll be an expert
at the beginning.
Yeah.
Then they'll then once they're hooked, it'll anyway. So I'm slowly making my way towards the front of the book. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's going slow though. I mean, I did a book tour to the West Coast. I was in San Diego, I was in LA. Then I came back and I did 2 more book events in Chicago a week ago. Now I've got a documentary screening on Saturday, and I'm doing a Q&A with 3 other veterans. So I'm planning that. So I'm trying to write my other book, and there's a lot juggling and podcast interviews and all that. I can't complain though. I mean, I'm very, very grateful for everything that's happening. It's really been quite amazing,
Well, we appreciate you for sure sharing with us and agreeing to come on here.
I appreciate you having me. Thank you so much. Of course. Yeah.
It sounds
and
very
there's Mr. Ingram up there. There's Craig.
Yeah.
And the Sound City Studios over there up on the
top one.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, the top one is us at Sound City Studios.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna check out.
That's on my website. You'll see it. Yeah.
We'll look at the YouTube video also of Freedom Quest.
Yeah, we recorded there in 1969.
Wow.
That's fantastic. I love the history, just all the whole legacy you talk about, and it brings you back to a time like I'm a product of the '70s,
70s. Okay.
Yeah. I know you can't tell, but you're probably thinking like 2020 I was born or something.
Yeah. I can't. Everybody looks younger than me at this point. I can't tell anybody's age. It's just like everybody looks younger than me. So it's like, yeah.
But it's sure fun times.
I'm just grateful, I'm grateful that I still have the energy and I'm still feeling relatively good to be able to, continue talking about the documentary, and hopefully I have enough energy left to finish the second book, which I'm committed. I really want to finish it. I'm getting close. My goal is to publish it next October 27. But here's the thing. The publisher takes 9 months.
Okay.
Minimum 9 months. So that means I have to have it ready by January, February. So I have from now until January to finish it. And I'm getting close. I have the first draft. I'm very close to getting to the point where I can show it to some professionals and get some feedback, and hopefully won't have too much rewriting to do, because the first book I made a lot of mistakes, just like
that's why it's a first book.
Right.
Beginner mistakes. Yeah, I had to rewrite the whole thing. I started out, it was first person, and I rewrote the whole thing in third person.
Wow.
Which I had to do. And but it was when I was workshopping it, and the teacher was like, I don't know why this is in first person. It needs to be in third person. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, but this could work out great for newlyweds and people starting new families. You can decide you want to write a book, and then you can get pregnant, right? And you give the book to the publisher, and by the time you give birth, your book's going to be released.
That's right. 9 months. Right. I know. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. I mean, unless you're an elephant, it's 18, but
publishers take a lot longer than that. The
yeah,
publisher that I used to say 9 months, but there's a lot of publishers that take even longer. So I don't have time,
Yeah.
I don't have that much time.
Do you have
upcoming?
Do you have upcoming book signings?
No, I don't. I'm anxious to get some more, like I said, Philip, is helping me with the publicity, and he's been reaching out to a lot of bookstores in Eugene, Oregon, Portland, Seattle, because I have friends out there, so I can stay with them.
Yep.
And all of them are like, music towns, Eugene with U of O, and Seattle, of course. And I have a dear friend. He was a close friend of Craig's too, an incredible bass player, and his wife is a jazz pianist. I can stay with them. And then also, like I said, we're looking at Detroit, Michigan. I'd like to do a tour of upstate, northern Michigan and Wisconsin or whatever. So, but yeah, nothing has come through yet. So I'm hoping, I'll have that in the future here. And right now I'm focusing on this documentary screening on a Saturday, and then there'll be another one in July downtown.
Okay.
Of the documentary. So
nice.
That's all that's happening right now.
Is there any place that a documentary can be viewed if, like, a listener wants to watch the documentary?
Yes. It is on Amazon Prime and Apple TV.
Okay.
So yes, it is streaming. And those links also are on my website. So everything's on my website. Yeah.
That'll be easily accessible.
Yeah.
Debora, thank you so much for taking your time.
Thank you.
This was very interesting story and behind the scenes on what brought this book to life. So we encourage people to buy the book, read it, and
let me know what you think. You can reach me on the website again. They can reach me directly via email. Love to hear what people think. It was 5.5 years of my life that I spent writing this book. So
that's quite a commitment. So definitely.
Yeah. Well, the writing piece, but plus the living piece, the living piece of it. So you got a good chunk of life there.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, it's great meeting you guys, and again, thank you so much for having me on. Really
You as well,
appreciate it.
Deborah. We want to say thank you to all of our listeners, our followers. Obviously, check the link on the website and you can purchase this book. And we'll provide other links to the videos for the YouTube, the website, the documentaries. That'll be all easily accessible if you're curious about any of this information or listen to the music or watch and read. And we want to say thank you to Hopped Up Network and our sponsors, Apex Property Management and FM Realty Group. And we want to ask all the followers, please support this podcast. Go to BrewsNBanterStore.com. We appreciate if you purchase the merchandise. And definitely a huge thank you to you, Deborah, for taking this time. This was a pleasure to meet you and hear your story. Definitely looking forward to reading the book as well. And
Thank you.
and look then second book.
Yes.
Yeah, can't wait.
Yes. Please come back when you're ready.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. I'd love to.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Thank you,
All
guys.
right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a good
Bye-bye.
night.
Bye. Take care.
Bye, you too.
You too.